Hello, my name is Daniel G. Wilson, and this is DGAW Interviews. Today, I'll be interviewing Huge Cosmic. Hello, guys.
Hey, Daniel. How are you?
Nice night we've been having.
Yes, it is a nice night. It's not snowing.
It's totally not chilling to the bone.
It's still pretty cold.
Alright, now, I would like to start the interview by asking a question about anime.
Sure. Shoot.
Hello Kitty.
I think I know where he's going with this.
Explain Hello Kitty.
As far as I know about Hello Kitty, it's a Japanese created brand of merchandise galore, centered around one character by the name of Kitty, or maybe her first name is Hello and last name is Kitty, and it's like a form of empire in Japan. To me, I don't think I have any particular close connection to Hello Kitty, unless Dean can speak on our behalf here of Hello Kitty.
Well, you rented a Hello Kitty guitar for one performance.
That is true. I did rent a Hello Kitty guitar, but I don't own that Hello Kitty guitar. If I may add, that was one of the worst feeling guitars I've ever played. It was...
but it was the best looking.
One of the best looking. Actually, I was very tempted to buy it. It was $100. And I was like, maybe I'll just buy this for the sake of having, a pink guitar, and two, a Hello Kitty guitar. But I couldn't justify, spending $100 when I'm a broke-ass former student, recovering student. Although, 10 out of 10 love that Hello Kitty pickguard. It was pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah. I was at the Central, I remember that.
My next question is for Dean. Tell me, Dean, several years ago you said that you were planning on hosting a naked party. How did that, did that ever happen?
A naked party?
Yes.
With who?
You didn't say with who, you just said that you were planning to have one day.
I've never heard of this.
Wait, I probably have heard of this.
Well,
this
you would have had to have heard of it because you came up with the naked party.
Yeah, you know what? This sounds like something I would say on Facebook.
Okay, now I will admit, I once went to one of Dean's parties, where I think I showed up a little too late and everybody was already drunk, and I don't really drink too much, so I wasn't having any. And people started taking their clothes off, mostly the guys, but this is actually very true now that you bring this up.
I'm not sure if you're joking or not.
No, you were absolutely taking your clothes off. You were... Other people were here not to be mentioned, but we can get into that a little.
Oh!
See, now he's remembering.
Yeah, okay. You went there one time. If you want to call it a naked party, I've had a couple. Maybe 3. And yeah, like you said before, there are people that were at the parties that will not be mentioned, but yeah, it has happened.
Now, Jacob and Dean, you both are in a photograph of a house show. Now, in this house show is known for... excuse me, French. I gotta edit that up. Dean and Jacob, you both are in a photograph of a Yonder Peak house show. Played, I believe it is James's house.
Yeah.
Is one of the rare shows where he appears shirtless. Do you know who else is from Mississaugas in that photograph?
Aside from the other members of Yonder Peak?
Yes.
That's naked?
Not naked.
Oh, but it's in that photo.
Yes.
Another musician?
Other musicians in the Mississauga scene.
Is it Brent Pierce from the Deadly Hopefuls?
I think I was thinking more Matt Miller, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah, then 100% that would be Matt Miller in that photograph. Actually, he stomped one of my pedals real good that day, to the point that it's never fully recovered. It's still working fine, and I have nothing against Matt, but yeah, Matt was at that show. It was a good show. That was one of our most fun summer shows we've played, probably.
Yeah, one of the most interesting ones.
Mm-hmm. Cardboard floor, because, you don't want to ruin that precious carpet.
Yeah, I remember it was like pre-party proofed pretty well there. And I remember like when we went on stage, the crowd kind of thinned out a lot, and then after the set that we played, I went out like on the main floor, and I noticed everybody was in the backyard and they were just like chilling there like any other party.
Yeah.
You know, like a high school party or whatever. But it was fun. It was good
fun
times.
Yeah. James knows how to throw a party.
Oh yeah, for sure.
True.
Now, speaking of Matt Miller, we flip tables.
Oh yeah, we flip tables. Let's talk about We Flip Tables. We Flip Tables is a spoken word poetry collective based out of Mississauga that consists of many talented poets. Matt, I can't speak 100 to be certain for sure whether Matt is like almost the the leader of said group, but he goes by the name of Lip Balm and used to be formerly, I guess for a time, the multi-purpose hot air machine. I prefer Lip Balm though, and yeah, there's a lot of other talented artists out of there, and they perform regularly. Usually, my understanding is the last Wednesday of every month. Most recently, it's been at Cullen's, I think, in Streetsville. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I've only attended one of these, pathetically enough, and I really had a good time, and I vowed to have gone to see more. I just never did. Yeah. But I mean, if you want a great place to watch spoken word poetry and get zapped and zinged and all that stuff, We Flip Tables all the way.
Yeah. Plus, my friend Lucas did the logo for it.
Oh, did he?
Cool.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You go, Lucas. 4 for you, Lucas.
Cool. Jacob. Mountains.
Mountains.
Yes.
Yeah, mountains. I like mountains. I've never climbed a mountain.
You're missing out.
Have you though?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I've driven through mountains once in the Virginias. That was really, really special. Are you asking me like what connection I have to mountains?
Well, I'm asking referring to your Tumblr. You have a lot of pictures of mountains.
Oh yeah, love me my mountains. Yeah, I don't know. Mountains are sublime. Like, it's just difficult to comprehend how large they are sometimes. Like I find myself drawn to things that perplex me. And I mean, like mountains is just really, I guess you could say, the tip of the iceberg of gargantuan-sized things that really rack my brain up. Start talking about the cosmos, that's just something else. Like, I mean, I'm not like scientifically versed in any form or way, but like I just from like a very appreciative standpoint, large things just kind of like freak me out and just grab me, and the focus of my attention a lot of the time. And I do have some aspirations to climb mountains and stuff. Like I'm an avid hiker. Whenever and if ever I go to Japan, Fuji is on there, because that one, you don't need that much prep for to actually climb. So yeah, mountains.
All right, now this next question is for the whole band. Tera Melos.
Tera Melos, Tera Melos. Tera Melos, where do we start about that? Here, I'll let you talk.
They're a really, really sick band. And this guy mainly got me into them. Along with a couple of other people. Jacob's old drummer, Chris Harry, from his old band Civil, used to play a lot of their stuff. And I was like, oh, Tera Melos. I was like, okay, like I can kind of get behind them. Like, I wasn't really, really big into math rock, like, way back then. I kind of first heard about Tera Melos back when I had a blog spot, and there'd be like random people kind of like adding my blog, and this one guy from Italy, I remember, because the whole blog was Italian, he had all Tera Melos recordings, like really old ones, up until like Self-Titled, and I was like, this is like kind of crap, I don't really want it, like this is math rock. I was like 16, 15 at the time, I didn't really get it, and then it was his old drummer that kind of got me back into the swing of things with that too, along with like a couple classmates from university.
I mean, for me, yeah, they're the band that really restructured my thinking of how a band could potentially sound like, or how guitars can potentially be played. I mean, it was the tender age, I think, of 16 or 17 at the time. I was at that age, and when I first discovered them, this was time ago now, and oddly enough, I was actually on my way to see The Fall of Troy for the first time ever that night when my Tera Melos CD arrived in the mail, and that's another story, but I remember driving, the concert was in Niagara Falls, New York, and I remember driving to that concert, listening to that on headphones, and I was like, man, I have no idea what I just stumbled upon. And, you know, I don't aspire to sound anything like that band, but, like, it's absolutely shaped me in how I go about making my music, especially from, like, a guitar playing standpoint. Although I don't have, I would say, the same chops to match with the hands. I'm trying to incorporate a lot of the foot playing into my style. But yeah, like, what else could I tell you about Tera Melos? I was probably, if not the only, like, one of two fans at their first ever show in Canada, which was in London, Ontario, at a place called the Salt Lounge. They were opening up for The Fall of Troy and Foxy Shazam and a band called The Deer Hunter. And I remember I came extra early, big, you know, nerd I was, stood in line, watched their whole set. I mean, back then, they didn't even have John Clardy in the band. It was still Vince. So this is pretty much like Drugs to the Dear Youth era Tera Melos. And Nick Reinhardt wasn't even singing in the band at the time, so it was all instrumental. I got to see a lot of the, I think at the time they were still playing Drugs material, Complex Full of Phantoms material, and also they were playing self-titled material. And yeah, it's a special experience for me, having seen that. Not many people can say they've been around for that, not amongst my peers anyways, so I'm happy. I've had that, you know, that sort of luck. But yeah, Tera Melos, pretty important band to me, and I guess in hindsight, pretty important band to Huge Cosmic.
Very fascinating. Very fascinating. Now, my next question is for Dean. Several years ago, you once said, on September 19th, 2009, you said that you were watching, or going to watch Pretty in Pink for the first time. Explain that.
On my birthday?
Actually, I think wait, what was that just like a status on my Facebook?
Yes.
Oh. I never ended up watching it. I ended up watching 16 Candles instead. Yeah.
Do you like John Hughes movies?
I do. I grew up, like, I had cousins that, you know, were really big fans of John Hughes movies. So they would, I think, what was the first movie that I watched? It wasn't Weird Science. That was the second one. Ferris Bueller's Day Off was the first movie I ever saw by John Hughes. And, like, a whole bunch of other ones followed. I think Pretty in Pink and Uncle Buck.
Oh yeah, you would love Uncle Buck.
Those are the only ones I haven't seen.
Oh, you haven't seen it? Never mind. That's funny though.
Would I like it? Yeah.
Yeah, you seem like an Uncle Buck kind of guy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You might as well be Uncle Buck.
All right. Well, any comparison to John Candy is, you know,
a good thing.
Yeah.
Another question for you, Dean. Dean, I've noticed that you have a liking toward a lot of electronic music, not just the simple EDM, but several subgenres, including chillwave and vaporwave.
Nice. Yeah.
Tell me about vaporwave.
Well, vaporwave is what I like to call a very disposable genre, but it's also something that has a very specific sound. It has a lot of homage to 1980s kind of like electronic music.
Heavily MIDI produced.
Yeah, heavily MIDI based and MIDI produced. It has like the sort of like the 80s sheen, kind of sounds like very like played through a cassette sort of. So, you know, like, was it Washed Out? There's Torre et Moi, like old Torre et Moi. There's One of Trick's Point Never, a lot of his soundscapes. What else? There's like a few more, probably, that I've been listening to. But yeah, that's basically, yeah, vaporwave. Chillwave, too, is another one. But it's practically the same thing.
Have you ever, and I also noticed that you once posted in your Tumblr a photo of the Mac Tonight.
Mac Tonight?
Yes. Mac Tonight, the McDonald's mascot from the 1980s. Tell me, since you like Vaporwave and the Mac Tonight Man, I'm curious to know if you've ever seen this video by an artist, say, Vaporwave artist known as Saint Pepsi.
Oh, I've heard of Saint Pepsi.
Have you seen this one?
Damn. Can you show the cameras what you're watching at right now? What you're watching right now? I don't know. Is it there? Oh yeah, it's there. That thing. Oh man. You know what? I have no idea what that is, but that thing's been like piquing my curiosity like mad as of late.
That's Mac Tonight.
Mac Tonight is the artist?
No, Mac Tonight. It's okay. The commercial
it's advertising. Right.
is yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I do remember reblogging this. Yeah.
Oh, I could tell you stories about that guy, but from a completely different perspective for days, actually. It actually has a bit to do with what our band became, even though I have no idea. That's the first time I'm watching that fully.
Tell us one story.
Oh, okay. So, it must have been September 19th, 2009, and I mean, I wasn't watching Pretty in Pink, but, you know, about a month later, it was my birthday. Was it 2009? Yeah, it would totally be 2009. So about a month after he should have been watching Pretty in Pink, I was in college, and I remember it was day of Halloween, and I didn't have a costume, so I went to this costume shop in London, Ontario. That's where I was going to school at the time, and was looking all around for some costume, and found nothing I liked, except for this stupid silver moon mask.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm like, you know what, maybe I'll just stick some pair of sunglasses over top of it, and I'll go and put on like a blazer, and I'll become Professor Moon. And like, that's literally what I did for that Halloween party. And I remember going around, I'm like, what are you supposed to be, a moon man? And I'm like, I don't know. And then people would yell at me from across the party going, Moon Man!
You're talking about the mask, isn't it?
I'm talking about the mask.
Yeah, nice.
So... Anyways, I somehow became that character without even knowing what that character was. And I kept that mask for a long time, and I'm like, you know what, I always thought, like, if I ever started a two-piece band, I almost wanted to call it Sun and Moon. And I wanted to wear my moon mask, and I was hoping my drummer, because a two-piece would be, you know, guitar, drums, band, I wanted my drummer to wear, like, a sun mask. And then it wasn't until Huge Cosmic formed and we picked our name and all that I'm like, oh, we could actually do this now. I still have my stupid moon mask. I made Dean get the sun mask, and before we came out with our identity, that's how we played one show for like one song, and realized how awful it was, and like it just wasn't fun to wear that thing trying to play live. But there was maybe a chance it was going to be that way.
Plus, there's another reason why you couldn't have done the Sun and Moon thing, like in terms of the band name.
Why?
Because there's already a band called Sun Kill Moon.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm pretty sure, what's his name?
He'd get very upset with us. You already know about his tirades and his rants and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we needed to become the bassist of one of his songs. Actually, that'd be very good publicity.
It would be very good publicity. If you're watching this,
Sun Kill Moon, write us a song.
yeah, write a song about us and tell us how annoying we are. Tight.
Huge Cosmic can suck my dick. Huge Cosmic is a piece of shit.
Ooh!
That's pretty much how his songs go.
That is fire.
Yeah.
That is fire right there. You're watching history.
Pardon my expletives.
They are pardoned.
Good.
Cool. All right, now, Jacob.
Yeah.
You are in the Mississauga scene, you are a producer. Mm-hmm. You produce such local Mississauga and, well, broader Peel bands such as Sarin, Pullface, and Civil.
Yeah.
As well as your own record, Microcosmic, and Terry Green's debut LP.
Yeah, most recently.
Now, tell me about this.
Producing? Producing was something I was, I guess, ideally trying to get into after graduating school. I went to a production school, and you know what? It's good I started to dabble more in recording the few years after graduating, but you know, it's become one of those things that like I don't make enough money off of it, nor do I feel just in asking people a lot of money for it, considering I don't have a studio. I only have gear that's portable that I can set up just about anywhere and do remote recording in and with. So I like to think that I offer production services, but like I'm not by any means an engineer yet. I'm getting towards that. I'm still picking up more equipment as I go along and expanding my repertoire and skills and abilities, trying to refine all that things. And I think I've done, for the most part, a better job each time, with the exception of the civil record, which to me I still think sounds the best. Perhaps I had the better gear then, who knows. But Terry Green's effort most recently turned out pretty good, and I'm kind of happy with it. I've got a long way to go, I would say, but you know what, like, I'm happy that certain people are coming to me and that I'm helping, I guess, in the form of the community in that way, just trying to get more people's material out, like helping them realize it quicker. Dean was involved with that too. It was a really fun time. We had a good time working with Terry Green. Yeah.
Snowball Manor.
Oh yeah.
That's the name of my basement. We wanted to name it like more pretty than it actually is.
When you record with me, we have to give fake names to everywhere we record. Mm-hmm.
Unless it actually has a real name that sounds halfway decent.
If you looked at the civil liner notes, every location listed there is fake. Well, not fake. I mean the real places. We have to record somewhere, but
they have very, very grandiose names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Snowball Manor. It's the best way to eloquently put it.
Now, Dean, your last name is Snowball. Do you have any affinity for the winter by any chance?
No, none at all. I used to when I was a kid. I used to be like very, very... I used to be very fond of the winter. That all changed when I started losing weight. I know this guy can attest to that as well.
Oh yeah.
We both have a common thing. We're
recovering fat guys.
Yeah. So when I was a little chubby kid, winter was like the thing, But and it's also like when you're a kid, you can afford to wear the snow pants and have like the really ugly multicolored jackets, one of those things. But I don't like the winter at all.
You'd have no idea how much this guy. Nobody believes him when they tell him his name. Ask if his name is actually Snowball.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people get mad.
Why?
So you changed it. Why would you say it's your real name? And I'm like, because it is. I don't know. You want to see my ID? Like, that's no proof. Some guy at a club. I know I hate clubs. This is one of the reasons why I hate clubs. Is I was hanging with some friends at a club, and then I guess we met some people, and then they asked me what my name was, and I said Dean Snowball, and it's like, oh, that's a cool nickname, and I'm like, no, that's a real name. This guy actually started getting angry. And I mean, but it's usually like a reaction of disbelief because people think it's so ridiculous. But it's an old English name. Yeah.
Very, very fascinating.
Yeah.
Very fascinating. Okay, Dean, T-Rox.
Oh, yes, I love T-Rox.
You found that video, didn't you?
Oh, you found that video.
Actually, I found several.
You found several?
Yes.
Really? I was only able to find one. Oh my god. We do have a little Nardwuar in our midst. Yeah,
Nardwuar.
so T-Rox Academy was pretty much like the main place that I went and did like drum lessons and stuff. And they would have like workshops for different bands where like they would compile videos and like take different musicians, and there would be like standards that we would play, or like they would bring us all in the same room and they'd be like, all right, pick like 5 songs and we'll play them at like some undisclosed location or like just random places, really. I mean, I don't know, we played at bars, at all ages events, we played at schools, we played at like fun fairs, like all that kind of stuff. But yeah.
I myself actually have some connections to T-Rox.
Oh yeah?
Not through joining, but one of the earlier shows I went to a couple of years ago was from T-Rox at the Clarkson Community Center.
Oh yeah?
2 years in a row, actually, yeah.
Is that where you saw me?
No.
Oh, okay.
2 years ago, you wouldn't have been doing that.
Oh yeah, that's true. I wouldn't have. Never mind.
So yes.
That's pretty cool.
T-Rox.
Another question for you, Dean. Joob.
Nice. Yeah.
Tell me about Joob.
So Joob was a
He's a guy. He's not dead.
No, but I mean like his name's Joobin.
Oh.
But like, okay, start over. Okay, so Joob was the name of a band. It was a funk trio, and it had me on drums, Phil Angelkovich on bass, and Joobin on guitar and vocals. And it was, I think I was in the band for a span of like maybe a year and a half, 2 years. We played a lot of shows. Didn't really get any recordings out, but we did have like a few videos online that surfaced. For the most part, like while I was in the band, it was actually pretty enjoyable for me. We did play a lot of good shows, and actually a lot of contacts that I've made with that band I ended up working with like when I started Huge Cosmic. And I still talk to everybody in Joob like on a pretty constant basis, so yeah.
Funny thing is this Joob guy, Joobin, he's very well known to the point that I was at a Super Bowl party a week and a half ago, and I was in the hot tub. It was an outdoor hot tub with a projector screen and all that. Pretty good time. There was a moment during the halftime show where Lenny Kravitz starts to play, and two of these guys in the tub were like, "Yo, that looks like Joobin," and I'm just like, I just looked over and I'm like, "Joob Vakili, like from Joob?" And they're like, "Yeah, you know him." And I'm like, my bandmate was his drummer for a while, and they're like, "Whoa!" And I'm like, "Whoa!"
Yeah. Yeah, he's very, very well known. Very well known. It's a lot of friends. Especially around like the Oakville, Mississauga scene. He has a lot of people.
He kind of looks like Serge Tankian mixed with Frank Zappa.
Mixed with a little bit of more Serge Tankian.
Yeah, he's more Serge Tankian.
Yeah.
And Dean, while you were in Joob, you also had kind of a Lemmy-style mustache.
Yeah. Although, yeah. Well, yeah.
Explain the mustache.
Well, you know, when you're, I don't know, it just happened. You know, I just had a fascination with facial hair at that time, and you know, I just wanted to experiment, I guess.
Yeah.
It was. I wouldn't say it's a Lemmy style, or at least I didn't think of it back then as a Lemmy style mustache. But like, I don't know. I dabbled.
Facial hair changes for us all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, our appearances change a lot. Like, we look different all the time.
First beard, no beard.
Sometimes blue hair, sometimes not blue hair.
Yeah.
You were blonde once, if I remember.
Yeah. And then I also have blue hair, or like technically turquoise.
I don't know the difference.
But it faded to a nice seafoam green. You
Yeah,
know,
seafoam
like a
burp.
nice.
all these different color names, I don't know what they are.
Oh yeah.
Color theory is
Potato, tomato. You know what I mean? Like it's all good.
All right, Jacob, I'm curious. Icarus Rising and MySpace.
Oh, crap. See, I thought that was all gone. Really?
Yes.
Oh, bummer. Yeah, geez. Okay, wow. Yeah, that was me when I was like 16 and 17. So like, oh heck, even pre-Tera Melos days. And yeah, at the time, you know, there was no Bandcamp, so you posted your content on MySpace. And
oh, MySpace. Thank you, Tom. Thanks. We love you.
I guess I was posting my music. I've been making music from, I guess, an early age, trying to actually record. It's all really shoddy recordings. Some of the songs were good. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's some of this material is still being worked into modern day stuff I'm making from, you know, that stuff I made when I was like 16 and 17. But Icarus Rising, that was like I'm surprised that you found that, because I worked pretty hard to get rid of that, and it's still there, I guess. You know why? It's because I think people would buy out like MySpace content and just smear it all over the internet on all these like third-party and fifth-party websites, and that's where it's still there. It's like in the deep web. It's not even on the surface anymore. But hey, glad you found it.
Samuel, the Ghosts of
5363rd?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty much the only proper music video I've ever shot. It's not proper at all. It was me and some friends hanging out. at his place, at my buddy's place downtown, and he at the time had a Canon 7D camera, which is, you know, really good quality video. He just shot us hanging out, and I'm like, can I compile this to a song I made? So, yeah, that song goes back from time, and it's like a crappily produced Reason song with some interesting content, but never like executed sonically the way I want it to sound. The song title is referring to a guy who passed away in my program, who I didn't even know, but like it was like kind of a shock to hear this guy dying around 18. And 536 is the address I was living at the time. Place had like a really, like, I wouldn't call it like a haunted or creepy feel, but it felt like a cold and desolate place. So that's like why I attached the word ghosts there. Yeah, funny that you found that too. That's on Vimeo. It's like the only thing I have posted on Vimeo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, tell me, Dean, thumb push-ups.
Thumb push-ups?
You once said that you could do, I forget the exact number, but it was more than 10 thumb push-ups.
More than 10 thumb push-ups. Was this on
Facebook, several years
Facebook.
ago. You said...
What are you doing? Are you doing a thumb push-up right now? Is this happening? You know what? This may have been an inside joke that I may have had when I was in weight training class back in high school. Unless this is like just a random joke that you found. It depends on the year. But like, that seems like something that I would post to, like, you know, as like an inside joke sort of thing. Although I'm not sure if I've actually done thumb push-ups.
Whoa.
This man's a beast. Look at this. Crikey.
I'm trying to beat your record, dude.
8. You're not doing it on the ground.
Well, yeah, because there's no room to do it and the camera can't see. 9. One more. This is your record right here. Thumb push-ups.
Oh, you're doing it from this angle?
Yeah, here we go. 11. Beat your record. It's more thumb push-ups than you've ever done in your life, Dean.
I lost count.
That's no good.
I lost count too.
It's because I'm so quick. I'm like, that was like 20. I'm just joking.
Now, you both were in a video for a project by Ethan of Yonder Peak.
Correct.
HD Stardom. You were in the video for the song Canulla. Explain your involvement in that video and the awesomeness that ensued.
Ethan called me up. He's like, hey, can you and Dean appear in a music video I'm making? That's all we needed to hear. We had signed up. The next thing I know, I was getting direction from him saying, you need to be here for this time, and you have to be wearing a suit. Do you have sunglasses? Cool, good. Do you have a fake gun? Cool, good. And he supplied us a briefcase, and then we kind of figured out what was going on from there.
Yeah.
That's as much as we were told, though. Yeah.
I'd be concerned about the suit and the briefcase.
Well, yeah, like, I guess we were playing a form of agents, or some kind of, like...
What kept it really fresh was that he didn't really tell us the context of what was going to be in the music video. He was like, alright, you just got to bring suits, bring sunglasses, bring a fake gun, that's it.
Yeah.
And he didn't even tell us, like, where it was going to be. You said meet us at, like, it was like his practice space.
It was his practice space, and then he was like, we're going to the Cheltenham Badlands, which is north of Brampton.
Mm-hmm.
We drove over there, and then we shot what we needed to shoot. Actually, we ran out of sunlight, which was the bummer part.
Yeah, that would have been the entire video.
There was supposed to be more in there, so it was kind of just edited with what we were capable of shooting before it got completely dark.
But you know what? Like, I mean, like, that aside, it was actually a really, really well done music video. Really well.
Yes.
Apparently, that camera was the same one to shoot a couple of select scenes from the Hobbit movies, because it was like rented from a guy who's a freelance camera guy off Kijiji or Craigslist. And no joke, this lens was easily from like this panel here to like where Dean's head is. So like Dean's head pops into view, boom, like that. It's a big camera.
Yeah,
Sorry, that's the camera. That was just the lens. The lens was that big.
Yeah, it's a red camera. So I remember like he was like, yeah, I got all this equipment here. He had like everything in little tiny boxes, and it was a red camera. And like I have friends in the film sort of like in the film program at York, the red camera that they rent out is pretty like high tech, really HD, and I actually can't believe that he was able to get that, but it looked really awesome. Turned out really well.
I think it warped my mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
One of the best videos I've seen in a while. Most creative.
Ethan's like a type of creative mogul. Like, he's always coming up with fresh material. Like, I don't know from what frame of mind his lyrics are coming from, but it's unique to say the least to our demographic and to our area, and I think we need that sort of thing to be continuing on a regular basis, because it helps bring color and identity to our community.
Very true. Scott Pilgrim.
Love Scott Pilgrim.
It's amazing.
We're both big fans. I remember reading the entire graphic novel, all the graphic novels on one trip to New York and being hooked. That was about 2 months before the movie came out, and then I went to the midnight screening. Yeah, in Toronto, and tons of people were in cosplay. I wasn't at the time, but God, like, yeah, I feel like I've based my life philosophically off of Scott Pilgrim. That's pretty cheesy or lame to say, but I could watch it and watch it and watch it again. I can quote it again. I love it. And Michael Cera, that's another story.
Well, I just remember, like, I remember reading the novels about, like, a good 6 months before I even heard that there was a movie coming out. And then, like, a friend of mine who actually worked at an AMC was like, hey, come see this before the midnight screening. And I'm like, so I'm going to see it before everybody. And then I remember, like, coming out of the theater, and that was midnight, and then everybody was just coming inside, and I remember being like, yeah, I saw it before you. Honestly, it's such an amazing series. I love the comic book. I love the movie.
The way I see it is, if you're from Toronto or Toronto area, and if you're a musician, then there's no reason why it shouldn't be your favorite movie in the world. And if, to add to that fact, you liked Great Dragon Ball Z growing up, boom, even better for you.
Or anything really in the comic format, you know?
Comic anime format.
Yeah. Plus, Brian O'Malley is really just like an amazing artist.
Speaking of Lemmy.
Composure. Now, Jacob.
Yes.
The Red Boy.
Yeah, that was a band I was a part of for, I guess, just over a year. The frontman and guitar player, well, frontman, of the Red Boy was a coworker of mine at the music store I worked at, and I remember it was around the time of my other band kind of like parting ways, being unsure of what's going to happen with it. I offered to play bass for the band. So I was playing gigs regularly with them for about the course of that year and a half before I decided it wasn't really for me, because I wanted to resume more so the kind of music that Huge Cosmic ended up becoming. It was closer, more akin to like what Civil was. But yeah, I was part of the Red Boy for a bit, and we had sometimes some really great moments playing the band. I mean, they're still going, Richard and Will. They just put on a fantastic fundraiser in Brampton for a cause called Logan's Hope that raised just shy of $5,000 and attracted like 200 people to the concert. So I mean, those guys are doing good work, and I'm proud of them, and they're good buddies of mine. And honestly, all the best to the Red Boy. Why not?
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, explain the Free EPs project.
Oh, the 3 EPs project. Regret having said that. So, Dean can explain the premise.
Yeah, so we basically wanted to release 3 EPs that had 3 different genres.
Each,
yeah. So one would be math rock, the other one would be doom sludge metal, and then what was the third one?
The third one was supposed to be emo.
Yeah, emo.
Like a straight emo pop punk sort of thing. And the shortcoming was that it's really hard to narrow yourself to the one genre. I mean, it becomes a very contrived experience really quick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were able to dabble with certain genres, but we still kind of had to stick to our genre of blending guns like we normally are used to.
Yeah.
So we have a new EP coming out this year that will feature elements of all three of those genres, but instead of on separate EPs, more so like within even the same songs. We're going in a heavier direction, temporarily, I guess you could say, reflecting current events. But yeah, I don't think we can. It was a stupid thing to declare something like that. That was like Nubian thinking, really. It was like, oh yeah, you know, we totally have it in us to just do that. And I mean, the more we tried to keep it to specific genres, the more fake it felt for us. So we will make our way back into making music that is true to us while it's blending those genres, but it's not just going to be specifically that, because then it becomes a copy or something, you know, redundant to what we've listened to or heard before. Yeah.
Now, I'm very curious. You see, I remember reading once, I think it was This Zine is Dead, that they compared you to the Japandroids as being kind of a more post-rocky, ambient, shoegazy style version of like the Japandroids. What do you say about that comparison?
Well, we really like Japandroids. I think it's easy to kind of say that any two-piece that has like a slight edge to their music with a whole bunch of different stuff mixed in could be like our sound. For the most part, I kind of agree with it. Especially like saying that, you know, like all these genres mixed together with that whole dynamic of a two-piece. Yes, I do agree with that aspect. But I wouldn't necessarily say that we're exactly like Japandroids at all.
We're still pretty far from it, yeah. Our single biggest issue thus far as a band has been able to like come up with a description for our sound without, you know, making a connection to something else that people can, you know, upon reading or witnessing, they're like, oh yeah, I agree with that, you know. It's constantly like a subjective basis when you're discussing it with other people.
We'd have to say like 5 different genres
to kind of even remotely begin to describe it.
Yeah.
No, I remember actually. I was never actually when we were making our first record. I'd been meaning to check out Japandroids, not on the basis that I was playing in a two-piece band, but like I literally put it off until the record was out because I said, until this thing is out, I do not want to listen to it in case it rubs off on me in any way. I didn't want it to any comparison. So I remember it was about 2 months after Microcosmic came out. I went to a record store and I picked up Post Nothing, and yeah, it floored me. It really did. I really enjoyed his writing, how simple it was and straightforward, and like they're almost like feel good like celebration anthems and like party anthems that identify with like a young demographic, Canadian demographic. But I'm happy I didn't listen to it earlier because it might have like, sometimes I'm prone to being influenced easily by things, or I'm known for like indulgent listening, and I didn't want that to change that or affect that when it was so in the midst of making of that record. And I think as a result, it's not the exact same thing, or it's not a copy, or, you know, we still stand out differently. So we can agree with that statement that has been described about us, but it's you know, still a ways away before it actually becomes that.
Now, about your sound, I've noticed that your sound is, along with several bands of the current generation in the Mississauga scene, a lot of the bands out today have very genre-defying style, play very genre-defying music. Would you say that there's something about this region that would, say, promote that such experimentation?
Man, you know what? This is like a loaded question. I mean, it would be cool to say that our community, Peel, let's say specifically, would be known for, let's say, like genre-defying movement, but that's not the truth. Certain bands have, I would say, figured out their sound more carefully than others thus far. And as a whole, as a community, we're not that way yet. I mean, we might be able to foster that, but in order to give us an idea of this community, like to give the larger community, let's say Canada, the country, even outside of the country, like an idea of what we're about as a community, Peel region, we need to kind of figure out our marketing / like aesthetic beforehand, so people can identify us with a face rather than try to describe it with words musically. I mean, yes, we're all kind of moving towards the same goal of finding continued success in music. However, it's unrealistic that will be the outcome for everybody, as unfortunate as they may be. But you know, we're all sure bending genres. Maybe a handful of our artists will find that desired success. Maybe some won't. I don't know if we'll ever become labeled as that genre bending community. Maybe we'll find. I don't know. Again, loaded question. I could mull that over for a while.
I'd say that, like, if anything, Mississauga and Brampton, like Peel region for music, it's been a region that's really surprised me with its artists and its music. You know, like, especially like Brampton, like the scene in Brampton, like almost like catapulted in the past like 5 years. In Mississauga, like, it's taken me like probably a few years to really appreciate where I am in terms of like a city that has so many like unique artists. Genre bending, as you put it. So like with my answer for that question is that, yeah, like the unifying thing of like the fact that it just surprises me that there's just so many talented people that I'm, you know, like in terms of like the region that I'm from, that I'm a part of, you know, like it really surprises me still.
If I may add though, like realistically speaking, I still think we're a long ways away from saying that we have something here that a lot of people outside of our area wants to be a part of. Unfortunately, a lot of that has to do with, I guess you could say, ex-militants isn't the right term, but people who basically like leave the area and or want to have no identity with it. Like, I mean, I don't have aspirations to stay in my community for another number of years, but I'm proud to say where I'm from, and I'm happy to be part of this community. And if the community calls, I will always be back to help it.
I'm the same way.
But no, that's just the issues with the suburbs is that everybody moves to Toronto, and every band becomes the band from Toronto. And yes, that makes sense when pitching yourself on an international basis, but you know, that's the major outlying issue with the suburbs is that it's not just even Mississauga and Brampton. All these other suburbs have the same issue. There's a lack of community there, because everybody either moves away or they're not giving enough attention to it, or they're not interested in applying a face aesthetic or approach to the community. So I mean, we're out to change it while we're still here, and if it goes well that way, great. If not, then I mean, that's not going to stop any of the musicians in this community or even ourselves from continuing to do what makes us happy.
Yeah. Well said.
Thanks.
Well said. Nardwuar. I know you guys have wanted to be interviewed by Nardwuar for a long time. Explain your liking toward Nardwuar.
I think
He's a genius.
I think being interviewed by Nardwuar isn't. I wouldn't say it's like a narcissistic thing, but it's like it's an indulgent thing. You grow up watching your favorite artists, getting their minds blown by his like investigative prowess. That you just want a part of that too. Like you just can't wait to like. You'd love to have him do the same thing to you. So
I just want to know what he digs up on me.
Like you're doing a great
Yeah,
job, but he's the king, right? Like
Yes,
I mean,
he is.
yeah, he's the king. And if I mean the way we've been describing being interviewed by Nardwuar, that's the Canadian dream. It's like as a musician, it's the Canadian dream.
Yeah.
You want to be interviewed by Nardwuar.
Hmm.
There's something to say for you if you have, or maybe not. Maybe it means nothing at all. Maybe it just means you're gonna have a kick-ass time doing it. Yeah.
I agree with you on that. That is the Canadian dream.
You're young Nardwuar, you know. So.
You heard it here first.
Young Nardwuar.
Young Nardwuar in the house.
Young Nardwuar.
Now, speaking of things to dig up, now 1 month after the Pretty in Pink episode, you drank an extra large coffee on October 22nd, 2009. Explain that.
Explain the coffee?
And how that relates to now in some weird cosmic sense.
Oh, cosmic sense.
Well, coffee, I don't remember that exact cup of coffee, but I can tell you that when I usually drink a large cup of coffee, that I feel very energetic afterwards. Not energetic to the point where I'm like freaking out and I'm like all shaky, but just enough where I can kind of, you know, coast along. Coffee hasn't really been a big stimulant for me, especially since I first started drinking it when I was 13, 14 years old. And what I can tell you about coffee is that I currently work at Starbucks right now, so I guess in a cosmic sense, that's what's happening with me right now. I don't know. But instead of just coffee, I also do, you know, lattes. I like to think I'm a good latte maker.
Conversely, I haven't had coffee since November 1st because it's just messed with my system so much. So I'm taking a break from it, not saying I will, you know, avoid caffeine the rest of my life, but, you know, I'm just, I've shifted my attention to drinking, like, herbal teas and stuff. But funny he mentioned Starbucks. I mean, that's the one connecting factor about our band is that
we both have worked at Starbucks at one point.
Yeah.
Me currently and him in the past.
Yeah. So all this band, all of Huge Cosmic has effectively worked at Starbucks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a star in its name.
And we're Huge Cosmic.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Dean's like pinching me, I'm dreaming.
Ow, 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 that actually hurt.
Why did it take a second for you to feel that? That's really strange.
Oh, you know.
You know, delayed nerves. You know?
Delayed nerves from drinking too much coffee.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, explain hugs, not drugs.
Oh, wow. Hugs, not drugs. I remember carrying a hugs, not drugs sign really, really far back. Who was I hanging out with? Like a couple of friends. And we made a hugs, not drugs sign. And, yeah. It's like one of those promote positivity sort of things. You go in, like, downtown Toronto and you, like, get hugs from random people.
But I think what he's referring to is our merch sign, which is what garnered our attention on
That's true.
the Mississauga news article.
That's what you were referencing, that's right.
We were making a merch sign for our release show, with pricing and stuff, and we had this big slate of paper to write our prices, and we only really at the time had shirts and CDs, but it would look stupid and naked if it didn't have more content on there, so we wrote hugs are free, drugs are not cool. Just whatever. Dean and I particularly don't do any drugs, but this doesn't make a straight edge. For instance, I'll have a beer every week or so when I'm out having dinner, whatever. Dean might drink a little bit more, who cares? It's not important.
Wow, okay.
Sure, it's not important. Yeah, I made you sound like an alcoholic, or not. But what we're stating is that we got, not labeled the straight edge, but we were interviewed by the Mississauga News, and I remember the headline. The headline is all you need to know is local band Huge Cosmic
is a natural high.
Huge Cosmic's trippy sounds, something like that, is a natural high.
Yeah.
And like it was labeled as if we were, you know, this like clean and straight edge anti-drug sort of band, even though we're not advocates of anything in particular. We're like as neutral as it can get in that sense. But yeah, it was assumed that that's what we were representing. In hindsight, it got us a gig with the city of Mississauga because I guess, you know, we are positive role models, but no, yeah, it was just funny how that happened, and yeah, sometimes things kind of spiral out in a funny way.
Well, if you're handing out hugs, not drugs, I'll take a hug.
Yeah. This is the lineup for hug. Bring it in, Daniel.
Yeah.
There we go, hugs with each Cosmic.
Yeah. Alright, now, Explain human resources.
Oh, human resources is my imprint. We were talking a little earlier about recording and production and stuff. I don't have a label. I like to have a label, but that requires a lot of manpower, grunt work. That is not
Elbow grease.
Which is not feasible at a time like this. So anything that I've ever put out that's had a physical rendition of the music has been imprinted with a hospital logo, which is my logo for Human Resources, which is me. Human Resources, before I came up with the name of Human Resources, I literally chose it because it's the first two initials of my last name. Not initials, first two letters of my last name. And then from there I determined I wanted to call it Human Resources. If I continue making music and putting it out, I will label it again Human Resources. Eventually I like to make it a real deal. If success comes my way musically, why not?
How many albums have you put out under Human Resources?
It's had 1, 2, 3, not very many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I'm on the 7th one.
Because I know Civil's album was on Human Resources.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was the second one.
I had trouble finding the other ones.
Yeah, because not all of them had physical versions, and that was the fallacy of my numbering system, is that, like, Pullface never had a physical version, but it was my first ever effort. So technically it's HR001, even though, again, there was no physical version. So Civil became 2. Saren became 3. There was never a physical version of that either, my understanding is. Huge Cosmic was 4. We did Terra Green, which would be 5, I think. And then 6 would be the tape reissue, which had an additional song. So technically it's a different part of the chronology, I guess you could say. Yeah, that's why you haven't seen them all.
Yeah.
Well,
that explains a lot, actually.
There you go.
Now, Terry Green. Tell me your involvement with Terry Green.
We are really good friends with Adrian. First and foremost, I've known Adrian for a little bit, same with Jacob. And as a result, we've gotten to know the rest of the band.
And subsequently become close friends with them too.
Yeah, we're really good friends with all of them. And it made sense when, I guess they were kind of like, hey, you should record some stuff with us.
Yeah. And they took us up on that. This was the shortest recording project I've ever been a part of. Everything got finished in 6 weeks from start to finish, I think. Maybe a little bit longer than that. I'm having trouble remembering now. But yeah, it came together very fluently, and we had a fun time doing it. I think they had a fun time doing it, and it's been great to see, like, how well they've been received so far. That's probably the most rewarding part about it. Like, that we've been a part of that. Like, the most ridiculous moment was Adrian posting a picture of him pouring beer on The World is a Beautiful Place and I'm No Longer Afraid to Die fork, and then the band using that as a profile picture, and subsequently them apparently somehow checking out Terry Green and their music, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. So, like, in essence, like, they've heard my production, they've heard my recording, and I mean, that's pretty awesome to say that
at
we
least
were able
a good
to...
chunk of the band,
Yeah.
all like 20 of them.
Yeah.
How many are there? 10? Probably, yeah, 10.
And I was like, hey, that's really cool. And, like, Terry Green has to keep doing what they're doing. They're an excellent and very unique band that has a definitive sound that will, pending they remain friends and tight and passionate, like, there's no reason why they couldn't kick ass, and further ass in the music scene. Yeah, Terry Green love.
You guys had a theme for Rebel 14 last year. Explain that.
Yeah, theme for Rebel 14. That's not actually its real name, but we'll skip the real name. We'll play that song later. We'll skip the real name though. And theme for Rebel 14 was, we got asked when I was talking about that gig that was offered to us by the city. They also wanted us to make a song for the festival, so we did. We cooked that one up in like 2 weeks, and that was the last new song we put out, really. And that was the most emo of our songs. We were talking about genres. That's the one that was supposed to be, if we were in fact to put out an emo EP, it'd be that. It would be on that release. And it's a good song. It was a departure from what our first record sounded like. We play it in almost all shows.
Hmm.
Yeah.
The Lodge. Tell me about the Lodge from your perspective.
It's one of the first places I ever saw a local show. That and the Dam, but mainly the Lodge. The Lodge is like the epicenter of the Mississauga music scene for me. Like, I saw so many good bands there, and I'm proud to say that we've played there three times.
That was our third time in January.
Recently, it has been our third time this January. So, yeah, that's what I have to say about it.
For me, it's like that's what like brought upon my love of local music, was attending shows at the Lodge, and well, yes, other places too. But as a teenager, when I was a teen, the genre of music that was big at the time was ska. So yeah, I was heavily into ska. Like, I kind of really don't care for ska now. But going to see bands like Il Scarlet, it was mind blowing, a mind blowing experience, very very eye opening. It's kind of a shame that I only played the Lodge for the first time so late in my life, like almost a decade after I'd been to the first time, into that venue the first time. But it continued to blow my mind when like videos surfaced of even larger and more successful bands having played there, like Alexis on Fire videos playing at the Lodge. It blows my mind. You know,
Pez played there a lot.
Well, Billy Talent was the band who started it. Like
Pez
specifically,
Pez.
yeah. And they really made this thing out of it. So I think it's part of our community's heritage, and it needs to continue. There's no ifs, and or buts. I mean, on 2 different occasions, there's been a face to the Lodge. People know about it, and the stories get told through time. And I mean, it's still important to the community. We got to keep it going. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So you were into ska.
Oh, unfortunately, yeah. That sounds pretentious. No, it's what bands were playing locally for the most part. There was a time when I went to college where it switched over into like a more noisy community. There was a lot of bands like, I guess, Mare and Love and Terror Cult. Bands that have gone on to play other bands, Dance Electric. And I was never around for that because I was in school, out of the city. So
yeah, I was there around that time.
That was more Dean's era. So he got to experience.
I remember seeing all of those bands that you just mentioned, like at the Lodge, at the Dam,
Beating Hearts Festival,
Rock
the Coliseum,
like at the Mississauga Square, like that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's my jam. That's basically what started like local music for me. I think I remember like one of the shows at Beating Hearts Festival had like a whole bunch of different like local bands in like that little Coliseum part. I remember coming from like the theater like near there, and then like I was with a friend, and then we noticed that there was like all these different bands that were supposedly from Mississauga, and I'm like, oh sick, I've never even known that this was like a local thing, you know, like yeah.
Speaking of local acts, I'm very curious, in the Peel region, do you know of any bands in Caledon?
David Wilson from Sarin lives at the edge of Brampton, which is technically Caledon, but Sarin's still a Brampton band. No, not really. I don't. Caledon, as far as I could talk about, has a DJ group now relocated to Los Angeles by the name of Dubs, or DVBBS. Those guys are from Caledon originally, but now, they're superstars in LA, so not Caledon anymore. But Caledon is a big area. It's almost, I think, larger than Mississauga and Brampton combined in terms of square kilometers. So Caledon could be referring to practically Orangeville, or it could be the tip of Brampton. And there could be tons of bands, but nobody that's playing or talking within our community yet. I mean, they're obviously welcome to come forward. There's a joke that Caledon gets rejected, but no. If anybody's playing, talk to us, and then we'll see what we can set up.
My phone number is... Alright. Dean.
Yeah.
You were on the news.
Many times.
I believe this was CTV News, judging from the what's that bulletin? I think that judging by the print that they had, this was a couple years ago. I think around 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
This was during your Joob era.
Yeah.
Does it say local music snob?
No.
No. No.
It said artist.
Yes.
And then it had my name on it.
And then there was a picture of you.
Yeah. So that was Nuit Blanche one year, and that was with a whole bunch of friends from York. So yeah, pretty much like it's really funny. Like I was around like Queen and I want to say. Yeah, Queen University area, like downtown. This was like, I don't know, pretty late, like 11:30, 12 p.m. And this random guy comes out of nowhere, like around a garbage can, and he has like this like massive camera with like the light, and it's like shining in my face, and it's just like, "Hi, would you like to be interviewed by City TV?" And I'm like, yeah. And so this guy was just like, "Okay, so we're gonna need you to like look at the camera and state your full name and what you do." And I was like, "Oh, well, my name is Dean, and I'm a musician and an artist in general." And so they put artist, you know? And they asked us questions about Nuit Blanche, like, "Oh, is it important for Nuit Blanche to still be like a thing for Toronto, you know, or like multiple cities in general?" And I was like, "Yes, of course, you know, it helps support artists in your scene. You know, like visual artists, performance artists, all that kind of stuff." So yeah, that was a thing. And I mean, like, it was on my Facebook and it had a lot of likes and a lot of comments because of the fact that like my face was sort of weird. Like I screen capped it and it has me looking like all like snobby. Plus I had like the handlebar mustache, so people were making fun of me for that. Hey, don't.
I would have loved to have ripped into that. That would have been good stuff.
Yeah, I didn't really know
Yeah.
this guy
I
like
didn't know
hardly until like way later. So
Yeah.
yeah, that happened.
Local artiste.
Very cool.
It just said artist, okay?
Artiste. No, it's fine.
There's an e at the end.
You're right. Good point.
You can pronounce it artiste, l'artiste. Anyway, yeah,
Dean, you're also an avid record collector.
yeah.
Explain how you got into the whole record collecting business.
Well, my father's pretty much to blame for that. He had a lot of records just sitting around the basement, and he has like about, I'd say, yeah, like a couple of record players just like lying around. And I remember like we were kind of looking for like a new surround sound system for like TV. I think we bought like a huge TV. We were like, "Hey, we need speakers." So I remember like my dad, I think I was like really young. He's like, "Oh, we already got speakers." So like he brought up these like really huge speakers and hooked it up to a record player. And he put on Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon.
Ah.
And I was a little kid, right? So I was about like really, really short. But he was like, "Okay, sit down in front of these speakers." Like, and these speakers were like bigger than me, you know, when I was sitting down. So like he put them in between. He started like playing the whole entire record. You know how it's like very atmospheric and very weird the first time I ever heard it. And I just loved like the sound. I loved everything relating to records. I listened to all of his records immediately after that, and I think it wasn't until I was like about 14, 15 when I actually got my own record player and got my own system going that I actually started buying records. So yeah, that's how I started with the whole, that was my story with like my fascination towards records. Yeah.
So you had kind of a almost famous moment then.
What would you say, famous?
No, Almost
The movie.
Famous, the movie.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I haven't seen that movie, so.
It's a really good movie.
Is it a good movie?
It's a really good movie.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you're talking about what you're talking about, then you should probably see it.
Is it the one with
Meg Ryan? No.
Zoe Deschanel's in it.
Zoe Deschanel and what's that guy's name? Blonde, recently passed away.
Hoffman?
Hoffman. Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh yeah, he wasn't there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Kate Hudson, right?
I can't remember if she was in there. I
Maybe.
do know that the guy from My Name is Earl was in there. I think.
Jason Lee?
Yeah, Jason Lee.
True.
Talking about handlebar mustache. That guy can definitely grow a mustache.
Now, why are you guys a duo?
I think we're secretly, what do you call it? The name escapes me. People haters? What's the term? What's the fancy term for that?
People haters?
Yeah, yeah.
Antisocial?
No. Damn it, I forgot the term.
Misanthropic?
Misanthropes. Yeah, misanthropic, yeah. We're actually misanthropes. No. In our inception, the first couple weeks of playing, we weren't sure if we wanted to expand the range and getting a bass player or another guitar player. Before we knew it, we had recorded some material and we were playing shows just as the two-piece. We didn't do the loop thing right away. The loop thing kind of came up a little later, and it seemed to work for us. So, I mean, it was easier to fit two people in our car with our equipment, and we stayed that way.
Yeah. It was a lot simpler.
I know it's kind of unusual because, well, typically most bands will have the three at least. Yeah.
You guys opened for Young Lean.
We did.
Explain that, how that happened.
It's the weirdest night of our lives.
Yeah.
Probably.
From a show standpoint, yeah, weirdest night of our lives.
Yeah, literally, we found out he was coming, and I guess
A friend of mine was a promoter for a second show in Toronto, so, you know, shot out of the dark, you know, I was like, hey, here's my band, I want to open for Young Lean. And he's like, sure, we got space. And I'm like, okay.
That was easy.
I was like, that was fine. Like, that was pretty easy. And then it happened. There were a few non-rap artists that were openers, and then a lot of rap artists as well were openers.
So just a strange night, strange mix of kids.
Yeah, just a strange, and it was an all-ages show too.
Yeah.
Because the night previous was a 19-plus show at the Hoxton. So it was at Rockpile East,
which is now defunct.
Yeah, it's now a closed venue. But it was in Scarborough, and yeah, what happened?
Just a weird night. You know, we know about some stuff that went down that night that I don't know if we're should be talking about it. Like, I don't want to be liable for any sort of verbal damages, but some weird stuff happened that night that we only kind of witnessed. But
yeah, we were just like surveyors at that point. We just looked at everything. It was like
tell you what,
like a car crash in slow motion. Everything that happened.
that's exactly what it is. It was like a car crash in slow motion.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like, highlight of the night would probably be being on stage with Young Lean for his performance. It's like, why not? Like, security couldn't handle the amount of people who were trying to swarm the stage, so we just ended up being on stage with Young Lean the entire time.
I mean, it wasn't just that. They had like different colored like wristbands. So it was like we had the artist wristbands, since there were so many people that were like, you know, opening for Young Lean. It was like, well, then let's get all the artists up on top.
Yeah.
And then we ended up like dancing on stage with Young Lean. I think that was an incredible experience.
Yeah, it was, and I mean,
especially since the fact that we're both like really good fans.
Yeah,
really.
We were fans of his music, so it was entirely like a novel like a thing for us to be doing so, like playing the show. But it was an entirely more novel thing to being on stage with him, just, you know, riling out to his music.
Mm-hmm.
Weird stuff.
Now, Dean, Tron and Tron Legacy. You have some very interesting things to say about Tron Legacy. No, the original Tron, I believe, in comparison to the modern Tron Legacy. Explain.
I think I was really into, like, around the time that it was coming out on theaters, I really wanted to see it because I knew that...
Wait, the new Tron?
The Tron.
You weren't alive for the old Tron, dude.
I meant the new Tron, yeah.
Okay.
That's what I meant.
Because like, for some reason I started thought you were talking about the old Tron. Okay.
They know what I was talking about. Anyway, yeah, so I had interest in that because it had the soundtrack by Daft Punk. And, I don't know, in retrospect, I liked the movie, but I liked the soundtrack a lot more. And I remember, like, when I was a kid, like, my dad showed me Tron, and it was pretty decent movie, if I can remember from that standpoint. it looks outdated, obviously, because it's a very old movie, but at the time it was like very, very effects centric, very, very cool looking. Yeah.
Hmm.
I have an interesting story about Tron Legacy, but that'll be an off the record thing.
Oh. Okay then.
I know, what a disappointment.
Twin Peaks.
Mm-hmm.
I hear tell that you guys like Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Love it.
I see references. I see you guys reference it a lot. Tell me about Twin Peaks and your affinity toward that show.
Yeah, you know what? It was all him. He started it. But you know what? Like, sure, he kind of got really into it in 2014, and then sure, I got really into it in 2014. But like, there was like a global zeitgeist for Twin Peaks last year. Like, I started telling people, and they started telling people, and like,
I started something.
no, he didn't really. It sounds like I'm saying that Dean started things, but like, Dean must have been reminded of it somehow. But like, the whole world was just going crazy for it, and yeah, now there's the announcement of it's coming back. So, but for us, yeah, it was like, yeah, it was just it's an awesome show. Like, what's not to like about it? You know, like, it's incredible. It's got incredible characters. It's got incredible music. It's got incredible aesthetics. It's got an incredible plot. Twin Peaks, man. Yeah.
I just remember it was like a guilty pleasure for me back in high school, and I thought it was like, I hated myself for liking it. Because, I mean, like, for the most part, it's a very, like he said, it had a lot of aesthetics with it, but I didn't really understand that concept. So, like, there were a lot of parts where it was very cheesy, but it was almost like David Lynch was almost making fun of all of those, like, really, really cheesy, like, melodramas and, like, soap operas and stuff like that. And I didn't think it was exactly the same thing, but I was like, oh man, like, why do I like this so much? And then I remember, like, around 2013, 2014, I remember Netflix came out with the Twin Peaks, like, series, and watching it, like, along with Jacob, like, I fell in love with it again.
Yeah.
And this guy fell in love with it for the first time.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, on a related question I'm curious. While watching I'm referring back to the Canulla video. While watching that video, while the scene where you two enter, I couldn't help but think of Twin Peaks and Men in Black and X-Files. Were you channeling any of those during the filming of that video?
I think Dean just really wanted to look good in his suit.
Well, yeah, but, yeah. But watching the video, like, with us in it, because, I mean, the only time we watched it, like, after it was being shot was when it was released.
It finally released, yeah.
It kind of reminds me of that slow-motion walking scene from Reservoir Dogs, you know, where, like, they have their sunglasses on, they're just, like, walking out of the cafe, like, about to do the heist.
Ah,
Remember
yeah.
that? Like, when the titles scroll down.
Little green bag, I know that scene.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't say like I was channeling anything specifically for when shooting that. Like I can understand the resemblance that you've pointed out, but no particular energy channeling that way. Although I was bummed about one thing that would have made it even more zany, was he had us shoot it where we were hopping the whole way instead of walking the whole way. And I remember that, like, it wiped the breath out of us, just, you know, all that hopping. And what he was planning on doing was cut between us walking and us hopping, so, like, it would randomly start to, like, show up that we're hopping along the way.
Yeah, I think he wanted to do, like, a glitchy effect.
And I was like, man, why didn't you do that? Like, it's cool that he didn't. It's still perfect in the way it is, but I think it would have upped the craziness level a little bit. But maybe the problem wasn't in the fact that he didn't not want to use it. Maybe it was just an issue of the fact that it was not looking good when it was edited in such a way.
Yeah.
But c'est la vie, really. Let's look at stuff.
Blooper reel.
Blooper reel, totally.
Now, Boards of Canada.
Love them.
Mm-hmm. They're probably my top 3 favorite artists. They're, I would say, of the most universal artists I listen to. Their music is the closest thing I've felt to a spiritual experience, just because of how it permeates, like, my cranium on, like, a subjective level and on like but also on like a very like subversive level. Like it's very cerebral sort of stuff, and it plays with my emotions and my memories and all sorts of stuff. It all together feels immediately familiar when really it's music that preceded my interest in tastes. It's an influence that Boards of Canada's music. It reminds me of like. Sorry, when I listen to it, I feel like I'm channeling memories that I've never had before. It's very strange. You know, I've always wanted to like try to emulate or recreate their songs, but in a more simpler fashion or vein of just guitars and drums. And one of the first things we did as a band before we even wrote original music as Huge Cosmic was make this cover of the song, their new song, New Seeds, which at the time was literally like 4 to 6 weeks old. Like it was released in June of that the month before we were like a band. And then, you know, we stopped playing it live because we just didn't want to. We wanted to be shifting over into our own style of music. But like I feel like, you know, it'd be cool to like do it up. So we shot the video with multiple GoPros, and we edited it up, and we had it released 1 year after the record was released by Boards of Canada fan page. They premiered it for us, and you know, criticism was really like hit and miss. Like some people loved it, some people hated it. You know, like that's the thing about Boards of Canada fans is that they're very avid and passionate, and they'll tell you if they really don't like something. And yeah, it is a departure. In fact, structurally, it's not even that close to the original song. It starts off similar, but then it just moves into completely new territory. The best part about that video, though, having put it out, was the fact that Boards of Canada supposedly themselves heard it. And they're one of the most reclusive artists in the world. You know, they've seldom given interviews. They've performed like 5 times total. They really don't have to show face at all. They don't, because that's their mystique. And whether it was them or a label rep or maybe somebody else in the larger, greater Hexagon Sun collective, somebody clicked like on the video when I posted it to their page. And I'm like, that was awesome. Just to have been a part of that, you know, mystique for just even like have permeated that level on the slightest bit was very thrilling for us as a band. Yeah. Cool. Laundry room. Plans.
How did this happen?
Why? Who are you?
I'm doing interviews, you guys.
Wait, hold on. Don't be scared. It's right here. Hold on. Come on. Here. No. Come on. Here. Hey. Yeah. Ooh. Oh, it's moving. Shit. Hey.
Show everybody your nice plant.
Say hi, Cheryl.
Hey, Cheryl.
Isn't she beautiful? Anyway.
She's very beautiful, actually. Alright. Denny's.
I love Denny's. We both love Denny's. We recently went to Denny's after our last lodge show, and we love Denny's.
Denny's is good. Denny's has a part of my heart. Growing up as taking trips to Florida, road trips to Florida, it's like obligatory Denny's stop.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's like something that has to happen.
And in fact, I think Denny's was in Canada for at least like 3 or 4 years before I even gave a shit or took notice. And then all of a sudden, like I started going, like I guess more regularly, and I'm like, man, this rocks.
Well, I remember like all the places where Golden Griddle used to be now has a Denny's, and I had no idea about it until just recently. So like, yeah, like near where I live, which is around like maybe the edge of like Mississauga, so like around Clarkson area, it was easier for me to go to like the far end of Oakville. So I remember like there was a Denny's near there that I would go to from time to time. There's a 24-hour Denny's, which is like around Courtney Park, you know. So Denny's, perfect.
Perfect late night food, I assume.
Oh, perfect. Love it. Was it called when you get breakfast for dinner? Brenner.
Brenner.
Love me some Brenner.
All right, festivals.
No luck.
Have you guys played festivals?
Well, we would have loved to with the 10 we applied to last year and faced rejection on all accounts. We literally got a no for every one of them.
We will soon.
Soon.
All right, now, explain your lyrics. I find your lyrics a mix of introspection, a mix of stream of consciousness, semi-insanity, a mix of just common suburban blues. Explain the thought process behind your lyrics.
This guy just kind of like hit it on the nail there. Like, I've never heard a better description of lyrics we've written as a band. Young Nardwuar. Lyric writing, yeah, all those things you mentioned, for sure. What was the question though again? Sorry.
I would say like our main process of like writing would be like we would choose a certain theme or something that would pique both of our interests, and then we would kind of build on it.
Yeah, we've
Give our own perspective to it. You know?
90% of the lyrics that we've put out so far have been a working combination between Dean and I writing together. With the case, with like one instance of where like I wrote a majority of something on my own time, and another instance where I pulled from older material I'd written as a teenager. But yeah, that's kind of how it came about, I suppose. What was the question? It was actual question.
The thought process behind your lyrics.
Oh, yeah.
How would you come up with such thought-provoking lyrics in many instances?
One thing that influences us greatly, that seems like, for me anyways, it's the one subject that like literally broaches like, it covers all ground, is like my living with anxiety. I live with like a form of acute anxiety that can be crippling, and yeah, it's affected every aspect of my life to certain degrees. So yeah, it's a recurring subject, even though we don't just focus on that specifically. Like it'll work its way in various ways into our lyric writing.
Fascinating. Let's talk about the weather.
That's our tribute song to our hometown. Yeah. There's a part of growing up that when you, let's say, get out of high school, you might start to identify less and less with your high school friends, for whatever reason. And sometimes you try to make it work, and sometimes you don't. Dealing with the changes that you and your friends go through after graduating high school, that's a large part about what that song is about. And younger audiences might not be able to identify with it just yet, per se. But almost everybody I've talked to goes through that same sort of thing. Can be very alienating and like confusing time, but you make it through. And the way I like to see it sometimes is you make some of your better and best friends that you will keep for longer periods of time across greater distances after, you know, the conclusion of something like high school. Yeah.
So true.
Yeah, it's very true.
Dean, maracas and British accents.
I think you found something. I have no idea what you're referencing.
There's a video of you by a drum kit with a maraca, and the caption for the video is your British accent.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. So that was with my last band, and the singer of that band, we kind of had this joke that all British announcers on like major like BBC TV shows would all sound the same. They'd have the "Up next,
let's see what happens when this man gets in a fight with another man. You know, like one of those things. So I remember like I did like this British announcer voice, and I don't know, like I just started like I lost my stick, so I had a maraca in the other hand. So I was like kind of, you know, doing a little drum thing with that as well. I don't know, it was just a little video that I had in my last band with the previous singer at the time, kind of filming it. Yeah, it was fun.
Cool. I was actually very curious about that because I didn't hear a British accent. I didn't hear what I thought was a British accent, though.
Yeah.
Very interesting. The Beatles are overrated.
Oh, that's definitely something you must have said.
Yeah.
Explain, and then you actually said, discuss in that same post. Tell me why.
Well, it's something that like I would kind of like want to know as an opinion, or something that would be like I wanted to know everybody's response on Facebook. You know, like that's a very, very grandiose thing to say, but I do agree with it 100%. They are a very overrated band. Same with the Rolling Stones. I mean, like that whole age-old questions, like, would you rather listen to the Rolling Stones or the Beatles? I mean, like, if I was to pick one out of the two, it would be the Rolling Stones.
Oh, wrong choice.
But if I was to pick another band out of, you know, besides those two, I wouldn't pick neither, because they're both overrated. But yeah, it was a general just status on Facebook that I just wanted to see what people's reactions were, and it wasn't a unanimous thing. There was some various opinions on like whether they liked the Beatles or not. You know, I grew up loving the Beatles. That was like one of the first bands I ever listened to. You know, it's just, you know, I kind of listened to more stuff since. You know.
Glazed media.
Donuts.
Our friend Brian Glazer, he started this company along with our good friend Lucas. I guess they're like a general media-based company. They do video, they do web, photography, that whole kind of thing.
So they basically helped us with the album layout and design of our first record, and then they helped us shoot the Boards of Canada video.
Along with 2 live videos that we've done too.
Yep. And our original logo with the bricks.
Mm-hmm. Like the first T-shirt design we came up with was also like it was mainly.
Was at the end of it was Lucas at the end with the hand glazed media.
Very interesting. Tell me, Jacob, Jazz Masters.
Yeah. Jazz Masters are what do you call it? The bane of my existence. I love them. They're just incredibly finicky, and I've had a great deal of trouble making them work. But I finally think I've hit a rhythm with them, and yeah, I remember I bought my Jazz Master in 2008, and it cost me a lot of money, and that put me into a bunch of debt that I didn't need to. And I remember it originally was like a nightmare for me to have accidentally dinged it. When it happened the first time, it was like it sent pangs of pain through my system. And then the more the more like I've played, the more I've accidentally dinged it, the more I stopped caring, and now like I'm almost like trying to expedite its damage. So not saying that I'm physically damaging it on my own terms, but like yeah, I'll play aggressively with it just so I can beat it up. I really want it to look road worn, and I want to have it for my whole entire life. So let's say in 20-30 years time, it'll really look shoddy. It'll look really wiped. Yeah.
Like a Sonic Youth guitar.
Yeah, absolutely. there's something innately cool about jazz masters that, sure, you can attribute to a bunch of your favorite 80s and 90s alternative rock bands having used them and stuff, but the shape of it too, I don't know, it speaks to me, and it speaks volumes to a lot of other people as well. Yeah, and it's like an eternally fascinating instrument. Like, you'll always find new things about it that are very interesting. It will continue to surprise you. But I will admit, it's not a guitar for everybody.
Weezer.
One of my favorite bands.
Yeah, same. You know, I've seen them like a grotesque amount of times, like 7 or 8 times.
I haven't seen them once.
That's so strange. I make up for it. I have a custom-made Weezer shirt. That's Weezer spelled purposely. It's Weerez, which is an allusion to the El Scorcho music video, where there's a big Weezer sign behind the band playing, and it says Weerez, not Weezer. I love Weezer, but I mean, they're not my favorite band of all time. But the Blue Album has largely shaped how I appreciate, love, listen to, write music, so on and so forth. It's, for me, I think, my favorite 90s record. Yeah.
I also asked because I know that the Ratitude record had kind of a soul-crushing effect on you.
Oh yeah. Well, I posted a picture last week of me holding a vinyl copy of Ratitude, followed by a picture of me holding a vinyl copy of Hurley. And the first picture has me making a face like this, and the second picture has me making a face something like this. That all came about when I posted on Facebook asking for recommendations for a classic album to listen to every month throughout 2015. And Adrian kept joking,
singer from Terry Green,
kept making joking suggestions that I should listen to Ratitude. So my only response to him was to post me with my LP copy of Ratitude, which is an awful record, for the record.
For the record.
Just straight garbage. Sorry, Rivers.
Well, when you make garbage, you make garbage.
Garbage is garbage.
That's what Mama used to say. Now, explain your influences.
Pretty much all of the bands that you just mentioned in this interview.
Yeah.
Is like a unifying thing with our influences.
Yeah.
Like Tera Melos, Weezer, Boards of Canada.
We really like electronic music. We really like rock music. We try to make it blend in certain ways.
We like music that has a lot of elements to its sound mixed. We like a lot of interesting soundscapes. We like clever lyrics. We like things that are like unexpected in music that can kind of like flip something, you know, or make things unexpected in like one song. But it's also like we like to make things that are like that just sound really, really sonically interesting and just
Sometimes I feel like our variety and influences is almost our Achilles heel. There's a lot of artists that go after something that's popular, that you know, is very just directional, like it's got only one direction, not the boy band. And it's easier to monetize, it's easier to pick up on, and we're still trying to figure out our way with that variety of influence and how we go about making our music. I mean, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but Dean's first suggestion for the band in terms of a name was Gradients, and I simply turned it down because there's probably 1,000 bands right now called Gradients. However, it is an appropriate name, and I almost feel like we should have stuck with it, even though we didn't. If we had to rename it, I'd probably just call ourselves Gradients.
Now, I have a question. This question has been on my mind for many, many months. Peel the band.
Right.
What happened?
Peel the Band is dead. It's a disease. They play Peel the Band in airports now. Peel the Band was my super fantastic idea to emulate The World is a Beautiful Place, except amongst Peel-only musicians. The response was overwhelming to how many people wanted to play it. Like, I initially only wanted like 12 to 13 members, but before I knew it, like 30 plus people wanted to be a part of it. And I already had too much things on my mind to even bother trying to organize a practical approach to making Peel the Band. I honestly still think we can do it. But I think we have to be very selective about how we go about it and who's going to play and how, and where and how and all that stuff. And my concern is that it will feel too exclusive to people and it will alienate and cause like upheaval or dismay in the community. It's where I realize it's supposed to go beyond that. So I almost like want it to be in the hands of somebody else. Like, hell, take Peel the Band, make it your own thing, and by all means kick me out. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, just because it was my idea doesn't mean I need to be a part of it. Maybe it'll happen sometime soon, but everybody else has like their own fish to fry. But hey, let's keep the legend alive. Peel the Band. And Dean will play drums.
Yeah.
I was actually on that list.
Were you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember your post.
Hey, you're the one posting.
Rest in peace, Peel the Band.
Yep. It's a good idea, right? It'll be challenging to execute. And if I had all the free time in the world, it would have happened sooner by now. Aspirations were low anyways. We were gonna maybe play a couple of originals, maybe make a couple of originals and play like a handful of shows. It was never a big thing, I don't think. But by all means, anybody who's watching this, make Peel the Band happen. You don't necessarily need me. I'm nobody anyways.
Fade that.
Karma.
Now, Rock the Coliseum. Explain how you got involved with that.
So, Rock the Coliseum is a musical venture between two gentlemen by the name of Ryan Cohen and Farrell Rafferty, who have been running this event for a very, very long time. They every year, once a year in August, as part of Mosaic Festival, the side stage or the Coliseum at the City of Mississauga City Center Celebration Square. This Coliseum is dedicated for 2 nights, designated for 2 nights for all local Mississauga and sometimes out-of-town artists, featuring all the genres that our colorful cities provides. The City of Mississauga provides staffing, and yeah, it's a good time. Usually there's a pretty good turnout, and we're happy it's still going. How we got involved? I don't really know. I mean, I think Ryan, caught wind of our music, and he got to know me through my work because I work for the City of Mississauga, and we got invited to play the tertiary event. So not the actual main event itself, but we played one of the, opening events, which was at Cucullin's pub in Streetsville. And yeah, it was a fun time. And we'd be happy to be part of it again in the future. And if we're not, there's always going to be other excellent, unique, and interesting talent coming through, pending that they're still running that festival. Yeah.
Beards.
I knew a beard once. It was mine. I took it off a week and a half ago.
I had one too. I took mine off like half a week ago.
Yeah. I really like beards.
Yeah. They keep you warm during the winter.
Yeah. I mean, if I can recommend to to everybody who's capable of growing a beard, like do yourself a favor and just grow that beard.
Grow it.
Can you grow a beard?
I've been trying.
Just give it some time.
It'll happen.
Soon.
Yeah.
Soon.
Now, Dee, you and I have something in common. We both like a superhero dressed in red and white.
Captain Canulla?
Yep.
Ah, yeah, awesome. Yeah.
Explain your liking toward Captain Canuck.
Well, I remember when I was a little kid, my dad showed me comic books with Captain Canuck. I think other than Wolverine, he's like the only Canadian superhero that I can think of.
Superman?
Technically, he's an American superhero, but, well, he was co-created by Canadians, sort of, so, yeah.
Do you guys want to know my favorite Canadian superheroes?
Who?
Basketball.
Boom! Boom! Mine is the phone. Take that.
My favorite Canadian superhero is donuts.
And your favorite Canadian superhero is weed.
Mind blown. What up, cuz?
You can't see me.
I'm so breezy.
Okay. Now, gear.
Here?
Yeah.
Here.
They're my favorite part of a bike. Yes, go on, sorry.
Musical gear.
Yes.
Gear is what makes is what largely makes the music interesting. Which is really awful to say. Really, music should be about music and not gear, but gear, you just can't help it. Like, gear is good stuff.
Mainly his gear, not my gear. His gear.
I definitely have the better gear in this band. No offense.
Not taken.
Yeah. Pedal collecting is an awesome hobby/habit, although it can run you dry pretty quick. I've kind of had to lay off in the last year and a half, but it really helps shape and define texturally what the music's about, not as much compositionally what it's about, but texturally what it's about. And most recently, purchasing my amp has been an incredible experience. Like, I have a son, and sons are awesome. And to boot, it's a Sun tube head for bass, which I use for guitar, and it sounds medium monstrous. It really works for the band sound, if you ask me. And hopefully we'll get to continue dabble with cool, new, used, vintage gear as time goes on. Money pending.
Was that a fully conscious decision to have a bass amplifier as your guitar amplifier?
No. That was a result of me perusing through local vintage shops online and seeing that one had a Sun amp, which I was certain would be sold out by the point I called. And then I found it was still there, and I made the rush trip to downtown, tried it out with a guitar cab, found out at the store that I was actually a bass head, and realized I still like the sound a lot, and that was enough for me to accept that it was a bass head and just use it normally anyways. Yeah.
I know that there have been several guitarists who have used bass amplifiers as their guitar amps.
Yeah.
One such guitarist was Josh Home. Is there any particular quality of the sound that you like, that you think would lend to the use of bass amps and heads by guitarists?
Well, because there's just two of us, yeah, we'll have a little bit of, we'll get a little bit more lower presence out of this particular head that I bought, which I think works for us in terms of size when you're listening to our live sound. But I still feel like we're missing a huge element of that, and that of what could potentially be our actual sound, and that is the inclusion of a bass amp, like a designated standalone bass amp with matched impedance and I guess a high threshold for power. Therefore, we can cover the sub-register aspect of music, because some people tell us that when they hear us live that we don't have enough low end in our mix. So I have an ABY switch. It's just a matter of finding the amp for the price I'm willing to pay, the bass amp.
Very cool. Now, you guys have played many shows in the GTA.
Yeah.
Tell me, would you consider yourselves, in small regard, hometown heroes in that sense? No.
Yeah, I really don't want to boast about anything like that. I think we're doing a pretty decent job of getting our name out there locally, but no, we are not at that level. Maybe one day we can be hometown heroes. But we're happy to if people are considering us, one of the pinnacles of the local music community. If that's the way people are viewing us, then we're not going to be disappointed with that.
Now, with all the shows that you have played in the GTA, tell me, the broader scene within this section of Ontario as a whole, what would you say it's like from your experience?
Oh, in terms of how we view the community?
Yeah, describe the scene of the GTA.
I don't know how Dean feels, but I feel Toronto is incredibly divided. Yes, there's communities present, but it's incredibly divided.
Mind you, based on the type of music
that's coming through.
There's different scenes that are all around, and there's a whole bunch of people that we know in all of these different scenes, and it's all it's cool to even be a part of it, just to be around people making all these different types of genres of music. But yeah, like Jacob said, it is very, very divided, and you kind of have to be in that genre to kind of be in that scene.
Yeah, you have to commit to almost said genre. We play hardcore shows because sure we've got more abrasive parts of our songs. We play a lot of indie nights, which are a completely different community, and they don't blend with one another. They don't I'm not saying that some of our friends aren't willing to come out to another type of show genre-wise, but these communities oftentimes don't blend, and that's where I say we have some awkward footing in terms of pushing our sound. Is where do we land?
Yeah, we don't really have a scene to kind of go to or to kind of build from. That's one of the other reasons why we did play a lot of shows, is because we had a lot of contacts into certain scenes. A lot of different promoters had different shows going around, and we can slightly fit in each one, but not fully.
Yeah.
So that was one reason why we did play a lot of shows, in the past year or so. I won't trade it. Obviously, I had a blast the last year playing shows, but at the same time, it's not something that can really move us forward because it is still very divided in GTA.
At the very least, we got a lot of perspective and experience out of it. We made a lot of friends west of Toronto, specifically in London through Kitchener and Waterloo area, and they seem to have a very good community going. And I respect what our friends out there are doing, and we'll continue to be a part of it as long as they want to continue coming down here and playing shows here as well. They're trying to push boundaries, and we respect that. Even though we haven't played out there, we'll probably be heading there very soon. And I want to get a taste of what the rest of Ontario is, and after that, the rest of Canada, and definitely the States too.
After that, the world
is a vampire.
The world is mine.
Alright. Now, Dean, Vine videos. I noticed that you have a whopping 12,000 plus loops. Explain your Vine channel and your relationship to
You have
Vine.
12,000 loops?
I have 12,000 loops?
Is it just you? Is it just you watching your own Vines?
Come on, I don't waste that much time.
You.
Well, I don't waste. I waste a lot of time on Vine. That's the reason why.
I'm so funny. I'm so funny.
Look at me. Yeah. So about Vine, yeah. I just liked it because it could connect with Twitter, and it's
Which you
funny-
don't even have anymore.
Which I don't even have a Twitter anymore, but I kept doing Vine because it's honestly it's so fun. It's so funny. I don't know.
Dean's an accomplished Vinist. He's pretty good at vining. I'd recommend you check out his channel, which is at Dean's through this. No.
Is it vine.co or is it vine.com? I think it's vine.co/Deansterthesnow.
Watch his stupid videos. Keep encouraging his ninny-ish behavior.
What is ninny-ish?
I don't know.
Wow.
It says premature. It's like
This guy's a hater. Don't listen to him. In regards to me. Yes, I don't know. I just like to mess around on Vine. It's fun. It's a good platform. It makes you creative. It's a very creative thing to try and fit something into 6 seconds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's good.
Harry Potter.
yeah. I mean, I read all the Harry Potters.
I'm up to number 4.
I've watched all the movies. I'm not a diehard.
I watched up to number 4.
It's enjoyable. I once wrote a song about Harry Potter. It's might be used eventually. Yeah. It's called Horcrux. If anybody can identify with that.
Does it use all 7 notes of a scale?
No, I haven't. No, I don't think so.
7.
Yeah. No, it's more so if I could really explain the lyrics, it's just about like breaking off pieces of you in order to preserve yourself.
Ah, I see.
It's just the greater idea of what a Horcrux really is. At least what J.K. Rowling was kind of like cooking up when she was making that. Yeah.
Dina, I remember that you said once that you were going, that you were throwing. Did you actually throw the party where you said you're going to watch all the Harry Potter videos? This was like in 2009, if I'm correct.
No.
You never did?
Okay, you know what? I wanted to, but nobody wanted to do it. Same with Lord of the Rings, because I've seen every single Lord of the Rings up until the Hobbit series. I still haven't seen it for various reasons. But yeah, like I've only seen up to number 4 in terms of the movies, so I kind of wanted to see the whole entire series. There was only like about 2 or 3 people that actually really wanted to do it, and then through various reasons, it just didn't end up solidifying as like a thing.
Yeah, he was much too busy actually throwing naked parties.
Yeah. Which were way more successful.
And for a good reason.
You make it sexual, but it's actually very freeing.
Oh! I'm not making it sexual. I just need to add a tail in sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there were backwards tales.
Oh.
Now, Jacob, Pullface. That project, that band is, I found this music very avant-garde, to say the least. Explain your involvement with that.
Pullface, recording Pullface is one of the happiest accidents I've ever had. Pullface is the project and brainchild of my friend Adam Piotrowicz, who I've actually known for many years, dating back to 2008. And on another off-the-record basis, I can tell you that this is the guy who I think very well brought together a large part of the musical community in Peel, or specifically Mississauga. But I mean, he couldn't really receive due credit for that. At the same time, we were maybe all bound to meet each other anyways. But yeah, Adam introduced me to a bunch of important musical friends that I continue to keep today. Pullface, his project, it's just, he'd been trying to flesh out a band for a long time, and I guess he wasn't working or collaborating with many people, so he was like, well, I'll play bass and I'll play drums, you record me on separate takes and we'll make it happen. I showed up with my awful digital preamp and 2 microphones, stuck it on his drum kit, and ran the pre's really hot. They were really distorted the whole time, and he just drummed to the tracks to a metronome, if I recall. And then we moved the mics onto his bass amp, and he played it at max volume. Again, with pre's distorting like madness. And I took it into the studio where we chopped it up, added some extra compression to make it sound gargantuan and thrashy, and then really just overdubbed it with some random vocals and overdubbed it with some synth that I played on that record, and still one of my favorite noise records of all time. And it's just so strange to think that I was a part of it. Like, I highly recommend it for people who are into noise rock and noise punk. I think feedback is like the spice of life with guitars. Like, you can never have unique enough feedback. Like, there's always going to be different types of feedback you can achieve. And some of my favorite feedbacking I've ever heard, and let alone captured, is at the very end of the Bullface record. I forget the name of the track. It's the fifth one. I think it's called Array. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But there's like a 1.5 minute long feedbacking part. It's nuts. It's unreal. It's squealy, it's squawky, it's on a bender, it's loose, it's abrasive. Honestly, great feedback. Check it out. Yeah.
Now, after the last lodge show Hugh Chaucer played, you bit into an orange without peeling it. First off, you're my hero for being able to bite into an orange without peeling it first.
I don't recommend it, for the record.
How you were able to do that, I don't know. And two, why?
Why? Because right before getting on stage, meaning we were setting up, Matt Farfel from Terry Green and Shimmer came up to me. He's like, "Jacob, I just want you to have this orange for on stage. Just put it on a table right over there." And I'm like, okay. And I knew at that point I had to do something with it. So we got halfway through the set, and I remembered it was still there. And I'm like, all right, well, this is going to be unpleasant, but I couldn't think of anything more original or unique to do with the orange other than just to take a big whopping chunk out of it with my teeth. And let me just tell you that the orange zest from the rind and the peel stung my mouth for the full hour and that passed after that. So don't go biting oranges, you dum-dum.
Do you know how the orange got to the lodge?
Oh god, he's gonna tell me it was like on a damn dumpster, isn't he?
No, it wasn't. You remember that on the page for the Facebook page for the event, on the event page, we were trying to get more people to see how it was going.
That's right. Somebody said that by 100th person to show up is gonna be an orange or something.
It's gonna have chips in an orange. That was me.
Chips in an orange?
Yep.
Oh, I saw your orange.
And I brought I brought the chips. I brought the chips of the orange in my backpack, but we didn't know who the 100th person was, so I gave it to Nick Platty of Shimmer and Wolf Diggit. They put it with their set, and then I guess that got to Matt, who gave it to you. So that was my orange you bit into.
Thank you. It was a delicious orange. I'm sorry for ruining a perfectly good
Oh
fruit.
no, that's fine.
Did you hear that? I bit his orange.
You heard it here first.
Yes, you did.
Well,
Yes, you did.
it returns full circle.
All right. Now, how long have you guys individually been playing music for?
I'd say I've been in bands since I was like in the 9th grade.
I've been playing guitar since 9th grade, and that was a long time ago. That was 10 years ago. So, really long time. Bands? I've only been playing bands steadily since 2012.
And how long have you both been playing together as a band?
We formed in May of 2013.
Yeah.
Where,
So, about a year and some odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, longer than that now,
A
right?
little longer.
Yeah, you're in like 6 months.
Yeah.
Maybe more than that.
How long have you been playing together as a unit, separate of a huge cosmic?
I've been in bands since I was in grade 9, so that must have been like since 2006.
Oh, I meant together.
Oh, together.
Together.
Oh no, Huge Cosmic was given the name 3 months after we were together.
Yeah.
But we formed as a unit. Not even, we weren't even sure what the outcome of the band would be for the first couple of months.
Yeah.
For all we knew, we could have just been like, this is just a shot in the dark. Now we're trying to make it serious.
So, how long have you guys, when did you guys meet? How did you guys meet, actually?
It was fall/winter of 2011 was when we first met.
We were in our respective bands at the time. He was in Civil, and I was in a band called Finding Howls, and we booked at the same rehearsal space. Rehearsal
Rehearsal Factory.
Rehearsal Factory.
So which Dean's band was leaving as my band was entering.
Yeah.
And
I knew one of his bandmates.
two of the bandmates. Well, no, actually, no, he didn't know.
Not at the time, just like I met Jacob.
Two of my bandmates seemed to recognize Dean. So, for instance, my guitar player Angelo, now of Hit Home, he went to elementary school with Dean, and Chris, my drummer at the time, who plays in Yonderbeat, he was at a show downtown Toronto, and he saw Joob play. So he recognized him immediately as the drummer of Joob, which was kind of a funny thing. Meanwhile, I'm here like, who is this guy? Should I even care? And then, I would see him at shows subsequently there for a couple of months, and we started to do the band when I wasn't sure what was happening with my band. Like, we weren't necessarily broken up, and we were kind of inactive. And he wrote a really whiny, complaining post on Tumblr about how his band just broke up. So I was like, well, he's a drummer. I'm gonna sneak on this. This is my opportunity for the taking.
Yeah, it was literally one of those self-deprecating posts I've ever posted on Tumblr, and this guy just swiped me up.
Within must have been 2 minutes. I was private messaging him.
Oh, so
He slid into my DMs.
That's awful.
oh, so you got Dean on the rebound, technically speaking.
Yeah, did he get me on the rebound too? Yeah, you could say that. That's really like a non-pretty way of putting it, but
Yeah.
Matching attire.
yeah, it's happened twice.
It's only happened twice so far at the last 2 shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys plan that, or do you just both work on the same wavelength, so you just end up showing up in the same
Oh
thing?
no, we planned it.
We
It
planned
was,
this.
it was mostly his idea. We were like, just look all in black. Let's look really slick, you know. And at first it was just like, oh, we'll just have regular black clothing. We can have a band T-shirt that has something on it. And then I was just, let's be all black. So
Yeah.
I think we'll plan to stick with that whole unifying thing. Maybe we'll bend the rules now and again, but so far it seems like that's a really good way to perform.
It's interesting. By wearing all black, you almost remove your personality from the performance, and it's still all just about the music. But just focus on the playing. Maybe get yourself in the mood. You're just it's like how musicians back from time ago would wear all black. It's a uniform. It's just an idea. It's just the idea that we're trying to represent. When it's not always going to be that way, because God knows how frustrating it is sometimes to stick to something. Need the change, but at the time being, we're going to give it a shot.
Now, Jacob, I noticed that you once had grown your beard very long.
Yeah.
And at that last lodge you played, while you were dressed in black with a very large beard, you kind of looked like, and with the style of music you play, you kind of remind me of a wizard. How do you feel about playing a show with a band called Never Trust a Wizard?
I love Never Trust a Wizard. I think they're a great band with great personalities in the band.
You're one of my favorite local bands.
Yeah, the drummer's my freaking car mechanic.
Wow.
He fixes my car. No, it wasn't always the case. No, they're very talented. They write very edgy and interesting, angular music. They're definitely one of the most unique bands in the area. They've been at it for quite some time, and honestly, again, nothing but the best of luck to them in their future. Like as they continue to make and write new music. Yeah, I've always loved their name too. Never Trust a Wizard. How sick is that? Before Huge Cosmic formed, before I even knew Never Trust a Wizard was a band, I've always wanted to name a band a wizard. Like, and the way it would be spelled was A space wizard WIZRD. So technically, the A would be removed from wizard and be put in front. So a wizard. And then I was still set on that. Like, if I ever started my two-piece band that I've been wanting to, like what Huge Cosmic is now, it would have probably been, I would have suggested strongly a wizard, but no, not with another band in the scene called Never Trust a Wizard. They've already got it, so. And good for them. It really works well for them.
Maybe you could do like a never trust a wizard, a sun, and a moon.
No.
You always shoot my head.
No, it's okay.
That's pretty cool, actually. I got used to it.
DP.
Well, no, I was just asking specifically because you look like a wizard. So.
Oh, you know what? When I had that beard, I was being compared to a lot of things. I was being compared to Hasidic Jews. Certain people thought that I had joined Al Qaeda. Just, like. Not things that offend me, but like would offend other people if they heard it escaping their mouths.
See, I called you Amish.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
It's very, very harmless compared to
Hasidic Jews.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that beard. That was a good beard.
Rated one of the best beards of 2015 so far. I've yet to beat it. I don't think I will. Anyway.
Now, another question. Do you guys need a spoon player?
Yeah, we'll look into spoons when the time is right. Like, we're probably going to be due in the next couple of years for like that incredibly indulgent double album record that very largely stylistically, like there'll be so much going on that spoons will need to make it. Like, are you looking to play spoons or anything?
Well, sort of, yes.
Yeah.
If you need a spoon player.
You'll be the first. Nobody's asked or requested to be a spoon player by the band, so you're officially number one on the list now. Yeah.
I'm honored.
Yeah. Oh no, you know honestly, like you can hold it to us, like. Yeah. Yeah. If you know what, like, for the. Just for posterity's sake, you can hold it to us. We'll have you play spoons on something in the future.
It's on video.
There you go. This is an agreement. This is a verbal, visual contract.
Shake on it.
Spoons.
Now,
No. no forks though. Forks are for beer to be spilled on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, now, I'm very curious. Tell me, what immediate projects do you guys have in the near future?
Two of them. We're gonna be putting out, hopefully, and unlike the last time we gave an interview and it was all, not falsified, but it was all, it was all wishful thinking. We'll be hopefully putting out a split with Terry Green, 2 songs each. We're already done one of our songs instrumentally recorded. We just need to write lyrics for it and track those performances, and then come up with a second song. And then separate from that, we have 5 songs we're planning for our next EP, which will be the next big release. And hopefully we'll have that out by Q3 2015. We have song names and a record picked out. Record name picked out.
Now, I have to ask, am I cooler than Larry King?
Larry King?
Yes.
As in like CNN.
Suspenders Larry King.
Yeah.
You were way cooler. Way cooler.
Yeah, the only you are cooler than Larry King. The only thing is that you gotta render your posture more like him. There you go.
Should have worn my suspenders.
Oh, the suspenders are only a part of it too.
Huge Cosmic. Do you have any last words for the people?
Let's go grab some donuts.
Donuts!
Donuts.
That's it. It's gonna be us eating donuts. This is some damn good donuts.
Alright, thank you guys.
Thank you, Daniel. That was really, really stacked.
Yeah, I never knew.
You got donuts! Woo!
We had a huge cosmic.